I haven't been up there
I'll
visually.
have to ask. I don't know.
I think I went by there on Saturday, I didn't see.
No, okay.
Was it Saturday?
Yeah, I haven't been by there since our last meeting.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't remember if I was over there or not.
And just one other thing is, I know my wife, because she had been getting, questions from people, because, that there's no, like, nothing says about where there's any parking. People don't really know, where to go up to, whether even the small one up near Robin Road, or even when you come up to the one at Sandwich Hollows, there's no identification, because people were asking, where can I park? Where can I park? And it's like, well, I mean, she told them, but I mean, and they could be from, whether they're like even from Barnstable or somewhere else, So I know she had addressed her, or contacted Paul on that, so I don't know, and that was only like about a week ago, so I didn't know if that kind of, it was on the punch list, or even if it made the punch list or whatever. But I mean, it would be helpful to let people know where the parking is.
I will say people are using that parking lot at Sandwich Hollows for sure.
Yeah, we did. I mean, but honestly, yeah, a lot of people, go down there. They may not even go and use a bike path. They just use the long walk back and forth. But like the other one, especially because you don't even know where, when you get to the parking area, where you should be going in, in terms of, which one's the entrance and which one's the exit.
So it's a valid point, and that we kicked that along to Mass DOT. They asked the town to take care of it outside of the state contract.
Okay.
So that's something we're looking at. One of the complications there is that DCR has not officially approved this as part of the Cape Cod Rail Trail yet. So the name is a little in flux, and that's just if we're going to install signage, we'd like to do it right.
Yes.
Make it look official, but it needs a name.
There's still also hanging out there a pending item from the Cape Cod Commission about unifying some signage for East Coast Greenway, Cape Cod Rail Trail, the Claire Salt and Stall Bikeway.
Right. So that's one item that we're looking at to see if that's feasible.
Good question.
Yes.
Is there a standard for the Cape Cod Rail Trail or for those types of bike trails and walking trails where there would be trash containers put on there? So I've ridden it a few times, and I know there's trash that builds up along the road or along the path, and I was wondering, because I don't think there are any trash containers, and I know that maybe there isn't something that they would normally put in, but is there a standard, because there is trash that seems like it's building up around there?
We typically do not install trash containers on facilities that we have to maintain. It'd be an attractive nuisance with dumping. So roadside debris is something that DPW is actively manage.
And on the path,
I'm not aware of a DCR standard. The idea is to ultimately, hopefully, have this as part of the DCR facility when that day comes. I'm not aware of their standards on that.
Yeah.
It needs regular pickup.
That's right.
That's one of the issues. So locally in town here, we're very constrained with resources as far as spots that we can actually do pickup. Okay. Pack it in, pack it out for now.
That's good. It's just like if there's something there, maybe people would use it, who knows, like you said, or it could be abused.
And this is just a little outside, but I happen to notice when you come up Route 130, like if you're coming up from town, and you go by with when they come off the highway, there's two signs not that far apart that says, left turn must turn left. It's like, okay, you told me once. And it's not that far apart from the other one, but then you see the other sign, so I didn't know, if there was a particular reason why.
You're talking about
It's on 130.
The left turn lane, so the Mass DOT left turn lane.
Well, yeah, like when you come off the or and you're gonna go up to Service Road. It says left lane must turn left because there's the two lanes there, but there's two signs that I don't know, maybe 15 feet apart or whatever. They say they're the same exact thing. So I don't know why they're necessarily
Why Mass DOT would put in two
Why?
signs?
Why? Well, I know because you had said before, like you don't like too much signage. Well,
Sure.
in that case,
Next to one available.
yeah.
Mass DOT oftentimes will assign the upstream and downstream end of regulatory lanes like that, because those are regulatory signs. And so by MUTCD, there has to be at least one sign, upstream or downstream. My observation, I don't know if this is official policy or not, Mass DOT tends to belt and suspenders make sure that there's a sign on both upstream and downstream. So that may have been part of it. It may also come back to just where the design engineer, I think it might have been Jacobs at the time, going back to when that interchange was redesigned. Their engineer of record may have made the decision that it should be signed at both upstream and downstream. That may be.
Yeah, well, I'm guilty because I drive up and down all the time, and this was the first time that I'd seen it. I don't know how long it's even been there, so it shows them to really, pay attention to the sign, because I know when I got in the left-hand lane, I was turning left. But like I said, it was just interesting that they said they saw, two of them, there within close proximity of, each other. So
Yeah, they seem like, it seems redundant. Is that what your point?
yeah, they're not that far apart.
Yeah.
So going back to the naming of it though, is there a process for naming like a segment?
That's what we're exploring.
Yeah.
Because we asked before and really didn't land on a name for it, other than ultimately we want to aim for making it part of the Cape Cod Rail Trail.
Yeah.
We don't have that connectivity yet. It's not clear as to when it will connect with Yarmouth, hopefully sooner than later. Meeting through Barnstable.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think if the other sections of the rail trail have official names or not. There's like
Well, there is standard signage, and so there is uniformity through the rail trail, and the DCR uses anyway. So VHB is trying to respect that with the segments they're designing in Barnstable now, and then what will ultimately be designed through Sandwich Village here, connecting with the canal.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd have to be contiguous all the way to Yarmouth to connect? It wouldn't be like you could skip a section and then still be part of it?
That's the question. That's the question. I see a potential concern there with if we call it Cape Cod Rail Trail, we have folks coming from some other location and not familiar with it. Hey, why can't
They
we
get to
do
the
that?
end and they
Hey, yeah, right.
Well, that's also what I was wondering too, because I think it would make sense to name the different segments that are in the different towns, and each have their own name. They're part of the Cape Cod Rail Trail network, but really you would think that each segment should have its own name that the town selects for the segments within the town, and they're just part of that network of trails.
But this is it's all part of the clear Salt and Stall Bikeway, right?
Yes.
So, but they're trying to name segments of it in between, instead of just, naming it what it is.
This is just, we're evaluating the parking signage question, is really where this is coming from. And so, just having a parking lot on Round Hill Road, we'd like to direct people that maybe aren't as familiar with the town to that parking lot with the understanding that, hey, if you want to use the trail, park here. How do we sign that? It needs to be called something.
Trail parking here.
Trailhead parking, right. Trailhead parking is one option that we're looking at.
Generic.
Yep. That's the idea. Shared use path gets a little wordy. Trying to keep it concise.
Sup means different things to different people. Stand up paddleboard, shared use path. All right, sup, dude.
And we're trying to stick with signing conventions. So
Sure.
it's immediately recognizable.
I don't know, Glasstown Bikeway has a nice ring to it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, something along those lines to
I should go into Glasstown, right? And so right now it's just Service Road.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what I end up on Service Road. Bikeway.
Service Road
So-
Trail.
So beautiful.
Could be that.
Service Road Trail doesn't have a great
I
ring.
like the vote.
What do you think of Clear Salt and Stall Bikeway? It's because there's an initiative by Cape Cod Commission, Mass DOT, to have it signing upgrades and have that standard go right across.
But that's another thing, but that's another one that the Claire Salt Stall, I think, is comprised of other bike routes in some places along the way, and some of it's obviously on.
Some of it's the Cape Cod
roads.
Rail Trail, yeah.
Right, so it's composed of all of these different segments, but so I'm sure there's some named segments to the trails that it uses. Like I said, I think it would be nice to have a name for it so people know what they're referring to when they're riding. Oh, I rode this section of Cape Cod Rail Trail. At this point, I mean, we just call it the service road shared use path, but it would be great if it had a name, that reflected the town or someone in the town or something that kind of branded it as being that section so people know it.
That's a good point.
I don't know the process for naming naming things.
I don't either.
Just give a good donation and maybe you can.
Pay for its maintenance in perpetuity and you
Yeah.
get it named after you.
Particularly if it's maybe incorporated into a larger facility.
I definitely could see
Collectively
it
as part of the rail trail.
morphing. I see the point about, we can't really call it the Cape Cod Rail Trail yet, because that would be confusing. But it's eventually probably going to become that.
Yeah, but I still think it should have its own, that segment, so people understand. Because again, the rail trail's gonna be long.
It's a reason why, it's called the rail trail, because the bike path was put on the rail trail. I mean, this isn't, I mean, to call it that same thing doesn't kind of, because, it's not on a rail trail. I mean, realistically, it is on Service Road. That's what everybody's familiar with, Service Road. Believe me, just drive on it any weekend and you'll find out everybody, no matter what state, is familiar with Service Road.
That's true. All right.
Do you want to discuss that anymore? Or in terms of ideas or what this committee would, or do you want to table it for now?
Or to find out is there a process for naming things like trails?
I think we would have we would come up with a consensus opinion if it mattered, if it could be part of the process. I guess we'd like to know what the process is.
Yeah.
And then decide if it's something we open up to the town, ask for input.
I do, and I will raise back with Stephen Tupper at the commission the signage.
I've already put in a note.
Did you?
The second? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll ask him. Because we had that thread going a couple of years ago. And we even saw that presentation, so. I'm definitely in favor of that signage upgrade throughout town for the Salt and Stall Bikeway and including the East Coast Greenway, so that we direct people off of Main Street and off of 6A and onto Service Road. I think that's important. And if in the process of doing that, we can tackle this issue of parking lot signage, great.
And just thinking about this a little more, Service Road is part of those routes, and will continue to be.
Right, but it's
aligned that way.
But
That doesn't necessarily preclude
right.
the Service Road from having its own unique name.
I totally agree.
So desire.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Doesn't necessarily have to happen at the same time.
Sure. I don't think it's clear to anybody what the East Coast Greenway path is through town. I still see people bike packing down 6A. So I think we need to improve that signage, especially between the bridge and the Service Road, to get people to the Service Road. And that's more than a sandwich effort. That's
Definitely regional.
okay. Last thing on the is there has been some communication back and forth with the state about a ribbon cutting, tentatively scheduled for September 11th
In the afternoon.
in the afternoon. More details to come, but if you all could mark your calendars, I'm sure we would all like to be there.
Did they specify whatever way they're looking to to have it would be like at the Robin Road parking area, or is there anything?
It's been light on, it's been light on detail and been, the main focus right now has been picking a date.
Or even like the Round Hill parking lot, because I mean, that is, you know, where more people can park and all that.
Yeah, we probably need more parking than that house.
Yeah. I mean, if you do it at Robin Road, I can just walk to it, so.
Right. Yeah, it would seem
But
like
there's no really, like I said, if you're looking for parking, then
Sandwich
it's-
Hollows might be the better option,
Yeah,
because there's overflow parking there too. At the course.
as long as you don't pick a time when it's popular tea time.
Yeah, avoid the 12 o'clock men's game for sure. But, okay, thank you. The service road to canal connection update, when we last spoke, we talked about potentially holding some kind of public forum in August or September. Do you have any more thoughts on that?
Yes, I am very eager to do that, particularly to capture the summertime.
Right.
However, in talking with Steve Rhodes, VHB, and understanding where we are in the process with Mass DOT and discussions on Route 6A, I think it's in our best interest just to wait and let those discussions continue to develop until we have more concrete input from Mass DOT as to how they want the path to lay out in their street.
Okay.
I really think it'd be good to have more details in place before we roll out a new concept for public opinion and feedback. So I've just got to sit tight. I want to push this along, but it's a process that is what it is.
Understood. That's fine. Thank you for that update. Anybody have questions on that? Grant application updates. I believe I saw some news on the Shared Streets and Spaces grant.
Yes, Mass DOT awarded us the grant for $250,000, if I remember correctly, to help support the pedestrian improvements at Quaker Meeting House Road and Kentuit Road. So that'll help with the install of push-button activated pedestrian phase crossing there. Minor realignment of the crosswalks just to shorten them up a little bit. No real lane configuration changes, like major changes like we did at Route 130. There will be some timing changes though to improve flow, and we're going to eliminate the split phasing on the Quaker Meeting House Road legs, which should help with the timing and overall traffic flow there.
Can you repeat what you said? Push button activated pedestrian what?
Phased crossing.
Phased crossing. Thank you. Let me make sure I get that right.
So it's quick phase now, so like the arrows, I mean, the arrows are very quick, or?
Right now, with Quaker Meeting House Road, there's two different phases for each approach. So, let's see, if you want to call coming from Route 130 northeast roughly, that gets its own phase, and all the others are red at that time. And then southwest, the opposite. So with this, Stantec Engineers is looking at that, and they have decided that there's enough room to accommodate left turns there.
So they do simultaneously.
Yep. Yeah, and they believe they can improve that time.
Any sidewalk improvements or additions or anything? Is any that?
Yes, we're looking to have sidewalk built along the southwest side all the way down to Farmersville.
Oh.
And then potentially have a crossing at Farmersville Road. The details in that are still being worked out. So in the grant application, that was written such that it's really focused on supporting the pedestrian phase improvements. The sidewalk will be like an ad alternate in So if we can swing it budget-wise, we want to do it, but it's something that may be phased in the future if prices come in too high.
So is that on, that's on the, like the, where the public safety buildings are on that side?
Yes.
You know, stripped down by them, down by the, I forget the name of the place.
That'd be good because
Boyden Farm.
Boyden, yeah. That's good.
And right now, I believe that there's crosswalks on 2 of the legs to connect existing sidewalks that are out there. This would involve basically filling all the different approaches with crosswalk, at least for one more to get three legs on it, if not 4. So we'll have crossings across all 4 approaches.
Is any of that in, you know, Sean, like as part of the master plan? I think that's in there, right? I think that's what we.
I believe that is in there, and I also believe the sidewalk down to, well, it may not have been phrased as a sidewalk, but doing pedestrian facilities from the intersection to Farmersville.
The farmers, I thought so.
Yes. I remember Joe Arnell being in here and asking about that as well, giving population numbers for the neighborhoods on that side. So it's certainly something we've heard about before.
Yeah.
So we're grateful for the support from this committee and Mass DOT and everyone else.
We are very grateful for the award, that's for sure. That's long overdue work that we need to do, or need to advocate for anyway. So thank you for that update. Any updates on any of the other pending items, the vulnerable road users, transit stop program?
Yeah, vulnerable road users is slow to develop, just had some new communications on that, and the consultant for that is through the commission, and they're working on a regional approach. So they have sites across the region. They want to take all of those to Mass DOT and come back to the town. We may see something in August. It's possible. But that one is just taking some time. On the RFBs, we did receive word that Mass DOT is in favor of funding all 4 locations. And with the caveat that we have some work to do on our end to make each approach accessible. So we're looking at that now to make sure that we have the resources to take that work on within the time frame that they have. Highly optimistic that we'll be able to pull it off, but giving it a little more when it's finalized.
That's good news too. I call this good news. Any questions on that? Okay. The last item under old business was the public safety campaign. I've seen a few additional social media posts. Anything to add to all of that?
Well, it's been a number of different efforts. So Sandwich Police Department and Public Works have put out their variable message boards, radar feedback signs to the police department. We've had Quick Meeting House Road, Katuah Road, Water Street, Town Neck Road, and Route 130 presence at times as resources allow, considering. From what I have been told, the Sandwich Police Department has been able to step up their enforcement patrols for speed monitoring, and this has been due in part to a grant they received, and they are going to monitor, evaluate the effects of that through analysis of the data they can collect afterwards. I'm not entirely clear on the metrics of that, but that's what I understand. DPW has taken on additional measures for sight distance improvements, clearing overgrown vegetation, which is just one of the keys to supporting traffic safety for all road users, making sure that our sight lines are clear. They've upgraded traffic signs at different locations One of the more visible spots is right at the intersection of Town Neck Road and Freeman, which has been very busy with the hot weather we've been having on beach activity. And then we've had the social media, or really the media outreach. It started with a press release, which I believe was picked up by the local papers, and or at least the Sandwich Enterprise. And at least one radio station had a spot on it. You mentioned the social media messages. I believe there's been 6 so far. I've got a couple coming out this week for bicycling related. And there should be more to come after that. And there is a dedicated web page. We'd love to expand on it. It's a matter of having the resources available to do that, but there is some additional information that's posted on it now.
Who actually does the social media posting?
That is many thanks to a team effort with IT and Melissa in the town manager's office helps with the graphics, and then also their social media person, Samantha Hendy. So so there's a number of different hands.
We have profiles, and I posted, I think, one of the first items they put out. But I'd be more than happy to give access to our accounts to whomever is doing it for the town of Sandwich profiles, so that when they're doing a campaign like this, it could be done simultaneously. It doesn't require my availability or attention. So I just would want to have a conversation with that person to see if
Sure.
that's something they want to take on.
Yeah, I can put you in touch. Yeah, but
I think at the very least, they could post on
Yeah.
the page. So they don't have to post for you, they could just share it.
If they're already doing it and they have, their software that allows you to manage multiple accounts, if they're doing that already, then we could just add our account to the roster for pertinent items. It's not only for this campaign, but for on an ongoing basis. I don't mind sharing the access. So. And certainly long term, that's probably better to have more than one person have access to it. God forbid I get.
at least as a backup, right?
Maybe rides at 6
Yeah,
a.m.
right.
The ride takes a little longer to get home.
I just wanted to add, when you were talking about where the police were, like when Nancy and I were going to the high school, we on Service Road, tucked underneath near Overlook, there was a cruiser. I can't even remember the last time I saw a police vehicle.
There was one at the fish hatchery when I was walking.
I was like, they were like underneath it, like you would just come off of Telegraph Hill Road and going down the hill. They were, in there. And I said, it's the first time I think I've seen. I know they try to get people and they come like around over on top of the hill. They usually kind of come around flying. One other question I just had, because under the public safety, and I know, Charlie said, so I don't know if he can answer it. The group that came in front of us for the, you wrote the letter for.
I was going to address that next, actually.
Oh, okay, then I'll leave it.
Hold that thought.
So you.
Anybody else have anything else on the public safety campaign? Okay. I'll just make one note here. Okay. So speaking of Town Neck, the letter that I wrote and I sent to all of you after our last meeting, and sent to the town after that, will be in the minutes for this meeting. I put in the minutes of the last meeting the item from that Town Neck committee, so we have that in the minutes for posterity as well. Obviously, there's been some additional action by the selectmen on that, but we did just want to acknowledge that we did send a letter to advocate on their behalf. We sent it to the selectmen, we sent it to Bud and to Heather as well. So that's where we last left it. What were you going to ask?
No, I was just wondering, because I believe that they were at a selectmen's meeting, and they brought all their issues and concerns, to it, so I didn't know if anything, came about from that.
My understanding from the enterprise is that they did attend the last two meetings. They spoke at public comment at the first meeting, and then the selectmen addressed it at the last meeting. So Charlie, I don't want to speak for the selectmen, but you have anything you want to add there?
It's going to be a town meeting item.
To vote for whether a
Yes.
safety zone should be established.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. I was just curious what would happen with it.
That's where we landed.
Yep.
There's the point of compliance with Chapter 4, Section 4, which is right in chapter. So the safety zones are enabled by Chapter 90, Section 18B,
Okay.
which very plainly says town so authorized, that the select board so authorized under or adopted this. Don't quote me on the exact language, but it references Chapter 4, Section 4 for legislative approval for saying what should be the town meeting to authorize the board, the select board, to consider that.
Yes.
So that step would need to happen.
Okay. Anything else on that? I think I said at the beginning of the meeting, we love having guests, and it was nice to have all of them at our last meeting. So we welcome that kind of input at these meetings. New business, just a couple of quick items. I want to call your attention that at our next meeting on August 18th, we will have Dave Nolan in from the Cape Cod Commission to discuss the Cape Cod Commission's ongoing Route 6A visioning study. In an email that he wrote to, I think, Paul, Sam, and I, certainly Paul and I, last week or 2 weeks ago, he said, as you may be aware, we are currently undertaking a Route 6A visioning study. We had a series of outreach meetings in June and have an online comment tool gathering feedback from folks this summer. But a glaring area of missing comments is Sandwich. Wanted to reach out to you to see if you could help us get the word out more on this project in Sandwich so that we can better understand the issues and needs from people in Sandwich. We would be happy to attend a bike meeting sometime this summer or early fall to give a brief overview of the project and take comments and feedback. And in the minutes for this meeting, I have a link to that tool to share with the committee. And I will, as I said earlier, get these minutes out much more quickly than I did the last meeting, so that you can peruse that and provide your own personal comments if you'd like. And we can certainly post that on our social media, speaking of social media. But Dave will come and discuss the whole effort with us at August 18th. I know that in my role on the Cape Cod Joint Transportation Committee, had been advocating for this 6A visioning study. 6A and its lack of, shall we say, accommodation for pedestrians and cyclists is obviously a concern of ours here on this committee and just in town in general. And anything that can be done regionally to improve that, both in Sandwich and elsewhere, I think obviously is a good thing. And this study obviously provides an opportunity for some big picture, like what should happen on Route 6A, from which maybe some action plans might come. So this is, I think, more conceptual than tactical, strategic than tactical. But I think it's something that we all should, if we have time, can participate in, and we'll hear more from Dave, obviously, at the next meeting.
Well, like I can relate to you, like I said, Nancy's now finally getting out to, walking on the bike path a little bit more. A concern that she's had has been bicyclists. They go by, they never, we always, like whenever we were on the over at the canal, somebody came up to you and always say, like, on your left, give you a heads up if you're walking, because, you may not be listening, you may have earbuds and whatever. But she says, they just go, flying by you with no notice. And they would always thought that was a courtesy of bikers to, let, walkers know that they're, going to be going by them. I remember when we used to ride on we used to have like the little ice cream, bells. I used to make her do it because I said I can't do it, I'm sorry. But yes, she'd go first.
So a completely valid point,
It's been scary for her because it's happened a number of times.
but not related to Route 6A per se.
Oh, sorry, no, I'm sorry, that's right, I thought we were, that's right, it was on 6A. No,
Okay.
but I mean, the thing is, it's still part of, oh, sorry, because it's 6A, yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
I just saw the visioning thing and I just keep on thinking of Vision 88.
Sure, gotcha. That is an issue that might be addressed by signage.
By the other, right.
Because they do on the canal have signs for give an audible signal.
I think they do, yeah, we haven't been there for a while yet, but I think they did.
Okay. So on Route 6A, I will share that link with everybody. Please take a look. Please participate if you can. And we'll try to get the word out about our next meeting. There'll be a presentation on that. The comment tool is open throughout the summer. I asked, like, is there are they closing comments at any point? And he said they've just been telling people it's throughout the summer. So our meeting won't be too late, which is what I was concerned about. Okay, e-bikes. Peter, this was an item you had asked me to put on the agenda.
Yeah,
I'll let you take it away.
I follow on Facebook friends of the Cape Cod Rail Trail, and recently there's been quite a few incidents involving e-bikes and a lot of confusion about e-bikes on multi-use paths. And the e-bikes that were involved in these incidents were what is called a Class 4, which is basically an electric motorcycle. And so I think that we should, as we're developing, our section of the path, I think we need to maybe address how we deal with e-bikes, because again, there is so much confusion about what is allowed and what is not allowed. I guess the state allows a Class 1 and possibly even a Class 2, but it's like I said, it's very confusing. Like my brother bought a fat bike, and he bought a Chinese motor and put it into his fat bike, and it's a pedal assist, but it speeds well over 30 miles an hour. And so again, what is allowed on multi-use paths is a Class 1, which is pedal assist, and a maximum speed of 20 miles an hour. And then, of course, you can override these systems and, pretty easily, and the bike can go a lot faster. But again, there's a lot of confusion about what is allowed and what is not allowed. And I just thought that we might start thinking about it as we develop, connections to, to other towns, because it's gonna allow a lot of people the access to, our section of the path. So I just thought I'd bring it up, and maybe we can, brainstorm and come up with some ideas. I don't know, signage.
I think signage would be a big part of it.
Yeah.
Because I think people, they're either ignorant intentionally or unintentionally of the rules regarding those and the speeds.
Right.
And what's allowed and what isn't allowed.
Yeah.
And everybody just, they class e-bikes all together being one thing.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of these kids are riding, electric motocross bikes, and they're, they're quite fast, and
there's
they're doing wheelies.
Past our house on the sidewalk pretty frequently.
Yeah, and I saw a couple of kids riding Class 4 bikes on our section of the bike path on the service road.
Make a difference. They might be going too fast to even.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to police it. It really is.
Yeah,
but at
that's
least
part of it
if
is
we
that
can,
that's the thing.
How do you monitor it? Try and educate people.
Right, you have to start somewhere with
Yeah.
having people
Yeah.
start to understand, like
And
you
just say, hey,
can't clean
these bikes are not allowed. And that, that one post that I sent to you, you know, the kids were approached and the gentleman said, hey, you know, these bikes aren't allowed. And the kid said, you know, well, they're 750 watts, or, you know, they're less than 750 watts, which really doesn't make any difference. And then gave him a hand gesture and sped away, you know, so, but,
Yeah, I mean, no matter what we do, enforcement is definitely going to be the challenge.
Right,
It's,
right.
it's a challenge today when motocross bikes are on mountain bike trails. Right?
yes, yeah,
But I think it would be good for us to get an education. And I'm wondering whether we invite Mass Bike to a future meeting and see if Galen can give us an update. With the context of, hey, we're about to open a shared use path, we're making plans to extend that path. What should we know? What is the advice, you know, of the statewide bike organization with respect to e-bikes?
yeah.
Do a little research, see what maybe has worked in other areas, because it's common.
Yeah, and I think he would be a good resource for that too. I don't think we need to necessarily even go out and do that research. They probably have a bank of it already. But if you'd like, I could reach out to him and maybe we could plan on that for September.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
See what he says. They are certainly very prevalent already in town. And in part, that's because of the canal and,
Yeah.
and the fishermen hauling their gear
Right,
down there.
yeah. But I mean, I'm all for e-bikes.
Yeah.
It's just that, you know, once you start mixing families, kids, dogs, you know, kids on those little, you know, trikes and skateboarders, and then all of a sudden you've got this, you know, person on a, you know, a motocross bike doing a wheelie.
Well,
Down
or
the
even
bike
just
path.
the speeds in them.
And the
general,
speeds, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
for
But even
deciding to see like
even a
that,
cyclist, some
Jersey.
cyclists ride a little bit too fast on bike paths, and they really should be on a road. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But I think some of the concern with the e-bikes is they encourage people who are less experienced to ride a lot faster.
yes,
And they don't realize the reaction time you need to stop
Right.
when you're moving that
Right.
fast, especially on bikes that don't have sufficient brakes and things like that. And that's what I've seen recently,
yeah,
and riding several times. You know, people coming up to road crossings way too fast,
yeah.
not being able to stop.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's a lot to manage for people who aren't used to it. Okay?
Okay, yep.
I had nothing else on the agenda. Did anybody have anything else they wanted to bring up? Our next meeting will be August 18th, as I mentioned earlier. We will have guests, ideally guests, plural. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
The motion we adjourn?
All those in favor?
Aye.
What time is it? 7:17? Excellent. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.